How do we group objects? All these objects that you see around you, how do you actually group them? Objects can be grouped according to their functions. A trip to your local supermarket is the best way to see how objects can be grouped according to their functions. Can you tell me how? If you go to your local supermarket, you will find a different section for ready-to-eat foods like snacks and biscuits, a cooler section for fresh foods like fruits and vegetables, a different section for cleaning agents, a different section for cooking utensils, and a totally different cold storage area for dairy and meat products. You will find the same sort of grouping of objects in your home as well. See how your mom organizes stuff in her kitchen? You will find a separate shelf for shiny metal utensils and a separate section for food containers. Now, objects can also be grouped according to the materials that they are made of, and these materials are either obtained from natural resources or produced by man. Natural materials are those that we get from our environment. We might have to dig them out as oil, grow them, or take them in some other way from living things. Some examples of natural materials are wood, that is used in construction. It is also used for making furniture and for so many objects that we use every day. All of it comes from trees. That is the reason why our forests are disappearing so fast. And that is the reason why we need to grow more and more trees. Leather is another natural material that is used to make shoes and other accessories, and it comes from the skin of animals. Coal is another natural material that is dug out from underground mines. Coal is used to produce electricity and also as fuel. Crude oil is a natural material that is extracted from deep below the Earth's surface. It is used to make petrol and even objects that we use every day like soap, plastic, etc. Oil is also extracted from plants like sunflower, olives, and groundnut plants. This is the oil that we use in our kitchen for cooking. Natural fiber. Natural fibers like cotton, silk, and wool are obtained from nature. Cotton is obtained from cotton plants. We get silk from silkworms and wool from the hair of many mammals like goat, sheep, rabbit, camel, and yaks. Man-made materials. Man-made materials are obtained by making changes to natural materials. For example, making changes in oil can produce plastic. Sand is a natural material that can be heated and made into glass. Paper is made by pressing together wood fibers. So we have seen how objects can be grouped according to what they are made of. We've talked about objects made from natural materials and objects made from man-made materials. But why are different materials used to make different objects? Why can't tables and chairs be made from glass? Why are tables and chairs made from wood? That is because glass is fragile and breakable, and tables and chairs need to be strong and sturdy. So it only makes sense to use wood to make them and not glass. Similarly, we use steel and metal utensils to cook our food and not wood. Why? because wood can catch fire while cooking. Steel and other metals have high melting points and can take high temperatures. That is why they are used as cooking utensils. So we see that a material is used to make objects depending upon its properties and the purpose for which the object is being made. So we can say that objects are also grouped according to the properties of materials that they are made from. Now let's have a closer look at the properties of materials that help us to differentiate and group different objects. So what are properties of materials? Properties are describing words that tell us about materials. Some materials are hard, others are soft, some are strong while others are weak, some float and some sink. These characters decide how they should be used for different jobs. Some important properties of materials. Appearance. The first thing that you notice about an object is how it looks to the eye. Does it have a shiny appearance or rough? Does it look hard or soft? Metals usually have luster that makes them shine. Wood appears hard and cloth appears soft and light. So we can easily sort out objects made of metal from objects made of wood by just looking at its appearance. Hardness, softness. When you press different objects in your hand, you will see that some objects compress easily while others feel hard. Materials that are easily compressed are called soft. For example, cotton, sponge. Materials that you cannot compress are called hard. For example, wood, metal, etc. Soluble, insoluble. Have you tried to make lemonade? What steps do you follow when you're making lemonade? To make lemonade, you take a glass of water, stir in several spoons of sugar, then you squeeze in some lime juice and stir till you can see that all of the sugar has dissolved and you get a delicious glass of lemonade. So you observe that sugar dissolves completely in water. That makes it a soluble substance. Any substance that dissolves in water is called water soluble. Try mixing sand with water. No amount of stirring will dissolve it. The particles will not dissolve in water. Substances that do not dissolve in water are called water insoluble. Sugar, salt, coffee are examples of water-soluble substances. Sand, chalk powder, pepper are some examples of water-insoluble substances. Light insoluble substances will float on the surface of water, while the heavier ones like sand sink at the bottom. So some substances dissolve in water and some substances do not dissolve in water. But do all liquids dissolve in water? No. Just like some insoluble solids, we have liquids that do not dissolve in water. Lime juice and vinegar dissolve in water. Oil and kerosene do not dissolve in water. Transparency. Look at different objects around you. Can you see through all objects? No, you can't. You can see through the glass in your window or a glass of water, but you cannot see through walls or furniture. Substances through which things can be seen are called transparent. For example, glass, air, plastic. Other objects through which you cannot see are called opaque. For example, wall, wood, metal, etc. So, what do you think? All materials are either transparent or opaque? Not really. There are some objects through which you can see but not clearly. These are called translucent. Can you think of some examples of translucent materials? Colored glass, plastic, some fluids, sheer fabric like voile, tracing paper are all examples of translucent materials. Another property of a material is that it may float or sink in water. Some light insoluble materials float in water while the heavier ones sink. So I'm sure you've observed other such examples around you. What happens to the dried leaves from trees when they fall on water? And a pebble that you throw in water with all your force? Things float when they have less density. That means that they float when the molecules they are made up of are spread out and the spaces are filled with air. Things sink when these molecules or blocks are packed tightly together, leaving no space for air. This is the reason why a boat made from wood floats in water while its oar, also made from wood, sinks. Can you think of some more objects that appear heavy but still float in water? Now, an apple looks and even feels heavy, but if you put it in water, it floats. So, we have learned how different objects are grouped according to their functions, their origin, the origin or source of materials that they are made from, and according to the properties of these materials.